my friends. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. My name is Jason. This is the Outstanding Life Show. And today's topic, we're actually talking about honesty. We're talking about truth and what the differences can be. Now, what do I mean by that? So today's headline is, I don't want the facts, I want the truth. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when I was growing up as a kid, my mom would always tell me, as a rambunctious kid, I would run up to my mom and I would just start telling her a story. And she goes, I don't want to know the facts. I want to know the truth. I would especially hear that same phrase when I was in trouble. I don't want to hear the facts. I want the truth. Now that boils down, that cuts all the crap out right away. As I grew up older, as I moved forward in my addiction, as I found alcohol and substance abuse, I developed these false facts. And I would tell myself these facts all the time. And I would tell myself these things of I'm not an addict. I'm not an alcoholic. I would tell myself these false facts saying, I can stop if I choose to. And it's not really that bad. Yeah, I would use these softeners to help mitigate it, to deflect and take away. But the reality of it all, my life was unmanageable. I was out of control. So I can try and tell myself all these false facts, but that doesn't change what's actually taking place. So having this sense of truth can definitely help, but having these false stories that I condition myself with don't help either. I went to this movie one time. I don't know if you like movies. I like movies. And there was this movie that I saw, and it was with, do you ever see that one with Denzel Washington where he's flying the plane and the plane's upside down? It's one of my favorite movies. And so I was at the movie and I was watching the Denzel plane and he flies the plane upside down. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And he ends up going and he ended up in the movie. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there's a spot in the movie where he shares an analogy, and I'm trying to remember, I ended up reaching the bottom. If I had a bag of lies, I reached the bottom of that bag and I couldn't tell one more lie. And when I saw that in the movie theater, I was with friends and family. It was really nice to be at the theater. But that message really stuck with me. That there could be an analogy of if there was a bag of lies that you would tell in your whole life and you reach the end of that bag. And I was like, wow, that message really hit me hard. Because then in the rest of the movie, there's a spot where Denzel goes and he attends an AA meeting. And up until that point, I had never thought of what a meeting would be like. I was struggling with my addiction then when I saw the movie. So when I saw Denzel go into an AA meeting, and this is all in the movie, right? So in the movie, he flies the plane upside down and he shares this message, but then he goes to an AA meeting. And inside the meeting, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but I'm just reliving the movie. But the people in the movie, in the AA meeting, were having fun. They were laughing. They were enjoying themselves. They were telling stories. They were joking. And it wasn't just like one person was laughing. It was the whole crowd. The whole room was laughing. And I had never seen a meeting before. I'd never been inside one. But then seeing Denzel go to a meeting, I walked away from that movie thinking, if Denzel can do this, well, so can I. And it spawned this idea in my head of, well, if people are having fun and enjoying themselves, not that it was all sunshine and rainbows, but it planted the seed in me that, hey, you know what? What if there is a different way? What if these conditional fears that I've been planting in myself, these false facts that I'm holding in my head, what if I were to let those go for a minute? What if I was to embrace the possibility that there's something out there, something bigger than these false facts? Because when they're false facts and I'm left with my alcoholic brain, I'm going to let that false facts run rampant, and it's going to start making decisions until pretty soon I'm not eating, I'm not going out and exercising, I'm making poor decisions, I'm not being mentally prepared, like I'm not being mentally healthy or physically healthy. And so it all stacks on each other. So nipping that in the bud at the beginning, getting rid of the false facts and calling it out allows room for truth to grow. And so seeing that movie, for me, that made me want to go and be curious about what is it going to be like to be in a meeting. I've never been in one before. And it wasn't so shortly later I ended up going and saying, hey, you know what, let's go check it out. I reached out for help, and it was the beginning of a long journey. But for me, that was my origin story about how I wanted to discover more about what this program was like. And so the whole program of the 12 steps is based on honesty, not just honesty with others, but honesty with yourself. And for me, I had thought I knew who I was when I started this journey, but by the time I finished, not that I'm done my journey, but we had to go to like so many meetings, hundreds and hundreds of meetings when I was in rehab. But by the time I finished going through those meetings, when I completed rehab, I ended up realizing that I don't know a lot about recovery, and I needed to invest a lot of time, effort, and energy. And I'm still learning. I'm still growing. Part of my recovery process is things like this. The Outstanding Life Show is meant to be a message to carry forward. It's not meant to tell you to do something or to convince you not to do something. It's just letting you know that, hey, you know what? There's a whole community of people out here. And just like I had seen the movie with Denzel Washington about him flying the plane, I thought that was actually pretty cool. Maybe there's more out there for me to find out. So honesty is the backbone of the recovery program. Honesty is the cornerstone of all interactions. If I'm not being honest with myself, how can I expect for me to be honest with other people? And so I choose to only surround myself with family and friends who are honest, not just with themselves, but also honest with me. And so there's that sense of character development, and there's that sense of trust, not just in each other, but within the community. And I did have to say goodbye to a lot of friends because they weren't adding value. But I've embraced a whole wealth of friends who are at that higher standard, who do hold me accountable, who are just as transparent as I am. And that transparency, and that didn't come overnight. I mean, that takes practice and that takes dedication. It's something that you don't make a decision to do. That's just a way of life. That sense of honesty, that sense of transparency. There's no honesty pill. You can't just suddenly become honest. It's just you decide that's no longer a life for you. I no longer wanted to live a life like the way I was living. And so I made the decision to change it. And other people can too. You know, be it someone reached out to me the other week and told me that they were quitting smoking and they like watching the show. Someone told me that they were struggling with one of the relationships and they're enjoying watching the show. It's a way of like a companionship of a community, even though it's just a video and you're watching it. It's kind of cool. Anyway, I love you guys that are watching, and I love that you message me and you reach out. But today's message, again, it's about honesty and transparency in the recovery space, and how much that was a block for me. Holding those false facts limited me beyond belief to the point that I wasn't even living my life. I was convincing myself that it wasn't that bad. I was convincing myself that I could stop at any time. But in reality, my life had become unmanageable. I was out of control. Like it didn't matter if you were my friend or family and you tried to tell me that there was a problem, I wouldn't listen. And it wasn't until I saw Denzel Washington in that movie, and I was like, that's so cool. If he can do it, I can do it. And it's not so much to make fun of it, but for me, embracing truth set me free. Embracing truth and letting go of my addiction helped me create a much more abundant life that I can help others. I can manifest positivity. I can take action, and I have a lot more for me now than I did then. It's amazing. Okay, so in every show we do have a topic. We do talk about honesty. Yesterday we talked about something different, but we also have an action, like a gratitude, and we have an action. So for me, today's gratitude moment, if this is something you enjoy, let me know. If you have your own gratitude moment or if you have your own action, leave it in the comments. Say hello. But today's gratitude is I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have the strength to be honest, that I have the strength that I can be transparent. And sometimes that's really hard. Sometimes that's when you need to face the music. Sometimes you have to do what's right. Sometimes I have to dig deep, take a deep breath, count to 3. We had that talk the other day about fearful. Take a minute and breathe. Appreciate this moment that I have the chance to be honest and transparent, no matter how hard it can be. I let that 3 seconds run control over me, but then I don't let it make any more decisions beyond that. After that, I move forward with my honesty. I move forward with my transparency. And in doing so, I end up moving forward in a much more positive light. I'm not held back by these fearful facts, and instead I embrace liberating truths. Okay, so that's today's gratitude. Today's action. I'm actually going to list 3 things that I used to convince myself that would hold me back, like these fearful facts. Like I said, I wasn't actually an addict or an alcoholic. That was something I would convince myself, even though I was. I would try and tell myself that I can stop any time. But in reality, I couldn't. I was out of control. And I told myself that I wasn't scared. I have this under control. Don't worry. Trust me. When I was saying that to people, though, I wasn't trying to convince them. I was trying to convince myself that I had it under control. But in reality, I didn't. But the moment I let go of it, the moment I moved forward, the moment I embraced this sense of recovery, the idea that I could go to a meeting, the idea that there's more out there for me to give, everything changed. There was a lot of hard work involved, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of heavy lifting that you got to do in the program. The 12 steps is not easy. You can't do it overnight. That's why, for me, rehab was like 9 weeks. And another one of my friends, he went to treatment, but he only went for like 28 days. But that's amazing. There's all different kinds of programs out there. There's all sorts of support systems. I was blown away when they told me that there's over 400 meetings in the city that I live in. In the city of Calgary, there's over 400 meetings. So if you didn't like one meeting, there's 399 to go check out. And there were times where I didn't like certain meetings, but that's okay. I didn't like it on a Tuesday. But that doesn't mean I don't go back on a Wednesday or a Sunday. Maybe there's a different crowd. Who knows? But again, I don't let that fear or that anger or frustration or resentment, I don't let it hold space in my heart, in my head. I don't have the time to do that anymore. I don't have the capacity. Once I started making healthy decisions, once I started moving forward in a supportive light, I started dealing with a lot less crap in my life. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I value you, and I wanted to let you know that I appreciate you so much. If you like what we're doing here and you like what we're chatting about, again, my name is Jason. This is the Outstanding Life Show. I've got the little link up in the top or down below. If you check it out, there's outstanding.video/guide. And it's a video guide that I have, and it's all within Facebook Messenger, so you can cruise through all the videos. Or if you want to get a reminder the next time we go live, just go ahead and type show in the comments, or you could go to outstanding.video/show, and then that will send you a Facebook message the next time we go live. In the meantime, take care. Thanks for hanging out. Have fun. Bye, everybody.